Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Edmonton Oilers, as there's been some interesting rumors coming out of the Oilers and Oil Nation, and I want to go over some of those today. So, Bob Stauffer and Rob Brown on Oilers Now pondered on the idea of trading Evan Bouchard, Philip Broberg, and, hold on, wait a minute, and or Jesse Puljujarvi in order to obtain a defenseman that will help the Oilers short term. Brown stated the deal makes sense as long as the player brings nastiness and physicality. Where have we heard that before? Craig Button has suggested Jacob Chychrun being the player the Oilers go for, while Elliot Friedman has tossed John Klingberg's name around as a fit. So that's the first one. And that's kind of the meat and bones one, because I think there's a lot of credible names for whatever you want to say about some of those guys. Friedman, Button, those guys. Oilers Now is fairly well known in Edmonton. I mean, those guys are not necessarily nobodies here. And it's kind of something that kind of has some credence to it. Now, there's another follow-up here. Jonathan Willis of The Athletic suggests a change of scenery flip that sees Jesse Puljujarvi going to the Penguins in exchange for Kasperi Kapanen. Okay, interesting. So we're going to cover this one first, because this is the one that I think is a little more clean-cut and easy to do. So obviously, Jesse Puljujarvi and Kasperi Kapanen are struggling for their teams respectively, and they carry similar cap hits. Now, what you have to realize is, obviously, Puljujarvi has been kind of just an amalgamation of just everything that goes wrong in Edmonton, and it's like, yeah, he played for the Oilers. You expect that. Last year, there was rumors that he was not a good player, and the locker room kind of teased about it, like, this guy, we don't want to pass him the puck. It started to get really bad, and I'm shocked that they were able to re-sign him this summer, because that was something that I was like, oh, you're really going to put him through more hell in Edmonton. That's really nice of you. But he signed a one-year deal. It was a $3 million contract, one-year deal. He's an RFA with arbitration rights next summer. He's already 24 years old. That's crazy, but that's where he's at now. And you're kind of with a similar situation with Kasperi Kapanen in Pittsburgh. And the situation with Kapanen, he's got 2 years left on that contract, and he's making more money, $3.2 million per season. But there's more upside, I think, to Kapanen, but the price is a little bit expensive. It's a little lucrative. Again, a 2-year deal. So when you look at it that way, he's 2 years older, he's got more established, but again, he's got a bigger contract. I think Oilers fans would be a little bit weary of that. And you look at his time in Pittsburgh, he had 30 points in his first season in 40 games, which is actually pretty good. And then he's really kind of fallen off since then. He had 32 points in 79 games last year. So almost 40 more games. He had 2 more points last season. Like, he really, really struggled for the Penguins. But this season, he's got 5 points in 13 games. So there might be a little bit of an uptick there. Maybe they're trying to raise his value, and he's getting more ice time this year to try and facilitate a trade. But nonetheless, he looks okay this year. So my thoughts on that are, I don't hate it, but it seems like one of those trades where you're making the trade just to make a trade. And I'm not a fan of that. And I think that those usually come back to bite you in the ass. Especially when you do one-for-ones like that, it's always a comparison later on. And you'd think the Oilers would learn from that, from the Adam Larson, Taylor Hall, and Jordan Eberle for Ryan Strome. There's enough of these trades out there where if I'm an Oilers GM, I would stay well clear of those one-for-one trades for at least 2 decades. And I'm serious with that. And the Ryan Spooner for whoever that, they've made some weird trades one for one. I think Oilers Nation has to chill out on those for a little while. And like I said, maybe not 2 decades, but those haven't tended to work well for them in the past, so maybe you avoid that for a little bit. Just saying. So I think it's a valid thing to talk about, but I just think for right now, It's the boring answer, but it's the one that probably is the most rational, and don't make that move. Don't make that move. Now, the other one is a little bit more meaty, and it makes sense because there's a couple of defensemen that are on the market that the Oilers could be going after. Now, the one that definitely makes sense is Klingberg. Klingberg signed a one-year deal in the summer with the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks are not very good, and they're probably looking to get some assets for him as a trade rental at the deadline. And the Oilers would definitely be a team that could get in there. And there was rumors that the Montreal Canadiens were going to sign him and then flip him with half salary going to Edmonton. Things obviously fell through. That's not what ended up happening, but there was some interest there in the past. It does make you leave, the possibility of some credence to that moving forward. Now, here's the problem. What I don't like, and you guys have probably already said it, the fact that they threw names like Bouchard and Broberg, people are already going to say that's not happening. And I agree with that. Again, I think Broberg's name, they're not going to throw Broberg in there. I know he struggled here early this season, but its value is now less. Now I would say he's even less likely to get traded than before because they're going to trade him for lesser than what they think his perceived value actually is. It's not going to happen. But I do think there is something to be said that if a deal like a Chychrun, I think Karlsson is a stretch because of the salary. But again, I like Jacob Chychrun. I think Toronto, Edmonton, those teams should definitely be in the running for a guy like Chychrun because of his salary. Again, there is problems to that, though, because you look at the attrition. He's struggled to play games this year for the Coyotes. He has not played very much. So to sit here and give up a Broberg or a Bouchard for a guy that hasn't really played that much hockey the past 2 years and hasn't played really well when he's been on the ice, it's kind of hard for the Coyotes to say, or for the Oilers to say, we're going to make that deal. It's kind of hard to sell people on that. Like I said, $4.6 million per season for the next 3 years on Chychrun. It's a very good sweetheart contract if you see him as a top 4 defenseman. But like I mentioned, this season he's only played 3 games. Last year he played 47 games. He put up 21 points, but still, he only played 47 games. He's got 3 points in his 3 games this year. So, again, there's potential there, but by the deadline, maybe there could be something done there. Now, the Coyotes also have the most cap space in the league. Over $23 million in cap space, which is just under the cap, or just over the cap floor, with $17.5 million of cap space. And the Oilers are probably saying to themselves, yeah, if there's a way we could dump off some money here, that might be where the deal makes more sense too. You look at their current money situation. Evander Kane being on LTIR sucks. But if there's any way they could move that Clefbaum contract, the final year of that deal, $4 million, Mike Smith's money. If there's a way, oh my God, they bring Mike Smith back. It's technically his contract, but if there's a way they can move Clefbaum and Smith and a first, do they even have their first round pick? Let's say this. Your first round pick, a prospect, Mike Smith's contract, and Clefbaum's contract for Chychrun. Is there any way we could get something done there? I'm asking for a friend. Is there any way we could get a deal done there? Because I think that there is legitimacy to the Oilers making that deal work. And again, the problem is their cap space. They don't have the cap space. They're currently at a goose egg, 0. They have no cap space. So if the Coyotes are willing to make this deal, and depending on what's out there on the market, they're asking for a first-round pick and a good prospect. And the Oilers can give them that. And I'm not saying it has to be Broberg or Bouchard, but who is willing to make, what would need to be involved? Is it a Puljujarvi enough? Maybe not. Who else is in the system? I don't know if I'm ready to give up some of their younger players like an Xavier Bourgeois, or, again, they don't really have that much. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, maybe it is Puljujarvi. Puljujarvi in a first. I don't think Coyotes fans would be happy with that and taking on the Oilers' dead cap space. But if it's already paid out and, again, you're getting Chychrun moved, is that worth it? I don't know. Something to think about, but I think Chychrun is a name that I think the Coyotes are definitely going to be spinning the tires on. But now, with the Leafs' current injury situation, they might be a little bit more, willing to go make that gunner move for a guy like Jakob Chychrun. So, depending on how the market is, the thing is the Coyotes aren't in a rush. It's not like Chychrun's contract ends this summer. It's not like they're in a rush to move him and he's not coming back and doesn't want to sign long term. It's more of, well, the assets aren't there, so we're just not going to make the move. And that's the smart approach. It just sucks for Chychrun, who has to hear for now, look at the calendar, pretty much a year and a half of trade rumors. That's the only thing that sucks, but maybe sooner or later we're actually going to see that deal get done. But let me know what you guys think down below. Who would you guys like to see the Oilers bring in as a defenseman? Because I think Chychrun's name is obviously the bigger name out there. I mean, if you're going to hear the rumors about Carlson, that's just not going to happen money-wise. I know it sounds like the sexy name. He leads defensemen in points this season. He's leading the Norris Trophy candidate reels. I just don't see him coming back. Coming back to Canada, at least, to the Oilers. It just doesn't make sense to me. But let me know your guys' thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.